The calm before the storm. It was an ordinary day on Earth. People went about their business, living their lives, unaware of the chaos that was coming. The world was calm, peaceful, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The skies were clear, the sun shone brightly, and the cities buzzed with the usual noise of everyday life. But far from Earth, in the depths of space, something was stirring. In a hidden military base on the edge of Earth's solar system, a small group of scientists and military officers were working tirelessly. They had been tracking strange signals for weeks, signals that came from deep space, far beyond the reach of any known human technology. The signals were faint at first, barely noticeable, like whispers from the void. But as time passed, they became stronger, more distinct. The whispers grew louder. Captain Emily Stroud stood at the front of the control room, her eyes fixed on the screens in front of her. She had been part of the project for years, but nothing had prepared her for what they were seeing now. The signals were not random. They were purposeful, coming from a fleet of alien ships, heading straight for Earth. "Captain," said Lieutenant Marcus Green, his voice filled with urgency. "We've confirmed it. There's a fleet on its way. At least 50 ships, large ones, and they're not just passing by. They're coming to invade." Captain Stroud's heart raced. She had always known that humanity was not alone in the universe, but to think that an alien force was headed for Earth was something far beyond her worst nightmares. "The fleet is massive," she said, turning to face her team. "And they're coming in fast. We have no time to waste. We need to prepare." But preparing for something like this was no small task. The Earth governments had no idea what was coming. The aliens had been clever. They had hidden their intentions well, using advanced technology to mask their approach. The people on Earth were blissfully unaware, living their normal lives, thinking nothing was wrong. And by the time the first signs of the invasion appeared in the skies, it would be too late. Captain Stroud knew that if they wanted to stand a chance, they couldn't let the aliens know that Earth had already detected them. The element of surprise was humanity's only advantage. But time was running out. The alien ships were only days away from reaching Earth. In a hidden underground facility, deep within the mountains, another group of scientists was hard at work. They had been given a task that no one else knew about: building a fleet, an armada, hidden from the public eye. This fleet, unknown to the world, was humanity's last line of defense. The ships were advanced, built with technology from the best minds on Earth. But there was a catch. The fleet had to be launched in secret. The people of Earth had to believe that they were still unprepared, that they were caught off guard, so that the aliens would underestimate them. Dr. Naomi Pierce, one of the leading scientists on the project, stood over a holographic map of Earth and the surrounding space. Her fingers traced the paths of the incoming alien ships, mapping out their route. "We have to move quickly," she said, her voice cold and calm. "The fleet is almost here. The moment they arrive, they'll strike. We need to launch the armada now." Captain Stroud nodded, her mind racing. The hidden fleet was ready, but launching it was another challenge entirely. The ships had to be deployed carefully. One wrong move, and everything could be exposed. "We can't afford any mistakes," Captain Stroud said, her voice firm. "We launch as soon as we have a plan. The people on Earth don't know yet, and we have to make sure they stay that way." As the team worked late into the night, the tension in the air grew thicker. Every minute that passed brought the alien fleet closer to Earth. There was no time for mistakes. They had to act fast, and they had to be smart. Back on Earth, life continued as normal. People went to work, children went to school, and no one had any idea of the threat looming just beyond the stars. The calm before the storm was like a ticking time bomb, ready to explode at any moment. Somewhere in the depths of space, the alien fleet moved closer to its target. They had been traveling for months, and now they were finally within range. Their weapons were primed, their ships ready for battle. But what they didn't know was that Earth wasn't as defenseless as they thought. In the shadows of space, humanity's hidden fleet was preparing to strike back. And as Captain Stroud and her team watched the alien fleet draw nearer, a cold resolve settled over them. The calm was over. The storm was coming. And humanity's hidden armada was about to unleash fury. The secret armada. The next morning, Captain Emily Stroud and her team were still deep in the heart of the underground facility, surrounded by monitors and equipment. The tension in the room was palpable, each team member aware that the fate of Earth rested in their hands. They had a secret, one that no one else on the planet knew. Humanity's hidden fleet, built in complete secrecy, was their last hope. "Status report," Captain Stroud commanded, her voice steady despite the pressure mounting around her. Lieutenant Marcus Green turned toward her, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "The fleet is ready for launch, Captain. Every ship is in position. The weapons are primed, and the crew is standing by. We just need to give the signal." Captain Stroud nodded, her mind racing. The fleet had been built over the past several years in secret, far from the prying eyes of the public. The ships, sleek and technologically advanced, were far beyond anything the alien invaders would have expected from Earth. They were designed to be invisible to enemy scanners, to travel undetected, and most importantly, to strike with precision. "We've been preparing for this moment for a long time," Dr. Naomi Pierce said, standing next to a holographic map of the galaxy. Her eyes were fixed on the paths of the alien fleet, which was now only days away from Earth. "The alien fleet is large, but we have the advantage of surprise. They'll never see us coming." The hidden fleet consisted of 12 massive warships, each one designed for maximum firepower and stealth. These ships were equipped with cutting-edge weapons, energy cannons capable of disabling enemy ships in a single blast, shields that could withstand even the heaviest alien fire, and advanced navigation systems that could make each ship nearly invisible to alien scanners. "We've trained our crews, but they've never faced anything like this before," Captain Stroud said. "The alien fleet is coming in fast. If we don't strike soon, we'll lose the element of surprise." She turned to Lieutenant Green, who was still monitoring the incoming alien fleet. "Do we have a plan for engagement?" Green nodded, his face tense. "The first wave of alien ships is coming in through the asteroid belt. If we intercept them there, we can keep them from reaching Earth. But we'll have to be quick. We can't afford to let them regroup or reinforce." Captain Stroud considered the options carefully. The asteroid belt was their best chance. It provided natural cover, allowing the hidden fleet to ambush the aliens before they even knew what hit them. If they acted fast enough, they could disrupt the alien invasion before it began. "All right," she said, her voice firm. "We launch in 2 hours. The ships will go to the asteroid belt, and we'll engage the aliens on our terms. We can't wait any longer." As the crew prepared for the mission, Captain Stroud took a moment to walk to the observation window. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vastness of space. But Earth was in danger, and humanity's fate rested on the shoulders of the fleet hidden in the shadows. She thought back to the beginning of the project, when the idea of a secret fleet was just a dream. The world hadn't been ready for a confrontation like this. No one had known how advanced the aliens would be, how quickly they could reach Earth. But now, the fleet was ready, and it was time to take action. Back in the command room, the crew was finalizing their preparations. The air was thick with anticipation. The warships hummed softly as they powered up, their weapons systems coming online. Each member of the crew knew their role, and they were ready for whatever was to come. "All systems are go," Dr. Pierce said. "We are ready for launch." Captain Stroud took one last look at the fleet before turning to her team. "This is it. We strike fast, we strike hard, and we don't give them a chance to retaliate." The first ship in the fleet, the Vigilant, powered up its engines and lifted slowly from the hangar. The others followed in perfect formation, their sleek frames gliding through the darkness of space like shadows. No one would see them coming. The aliens wouldn't know what hit them. As the fleet made its way toward the asteroid belt, Captain Stroud's mind raced. The alien fleet was close. If they didn't succeed in their mission, Earth would fall. But as long as humanity's fleet remained hidden, they still had a chance. And as they prepared to engage the alien invaders, Captain Stroud couldn't shake the feeling that this would be the beginning of something much bigger than any of them could have imagined. First contact. The vast expanse of space was eerily quiet as humanity's hidden fleet moved toward the asteroid belt. The ships, cloaked in advanced stealth technology, glided through the stars without a sound, their engines barely a whisper in the silence of space. Captain Emily Stroud stood at the helm of the Vigilant, the lead ship, her eyes focused on the distant asteroid field ahead. "Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Green's voice broke through the calm, his tone urgent. "We've confirmed it. Alien ships are in the asteroid belt. They've entered our range." The first contact had been made. "Prepare for engagement," Captain Stroud ordered. "Get us into position, Lieutenant. We need to make this count." The fleet's ships moved into formation, positioning themselves just beyond the asteroid field's edge. They would wait for the aliens to venture deeper into the field before launching their attack. The rocks and debris scattered through the belt would provide the perfect cover. It was now a waiting game. Back in the control room of the Vigilant, Dr. Naomi Pierce was busy scanning the enemy ships on the radar. The alien fleet, once just a mysterious signal from the depths of space, had finally revealed itself. The ships were enormous, massive vessels bristling with weaponry, far beyond anything humanity had seen. They were designed for one purpose only: war. "I don't like this," Dr. Pierce muttered, her eyes glued to the screen. "These ships are more advanced than anything we expected. The weapon systems are unlike anything we've encountered." Captain Stroud frowned. She had expected the aliens to be advanced, but seeing their fleet up close was a sobering reminder of what they were up against. The enemy ships were heavily armored, their hulls black as night, and lined with strange, glowing energy patterns. They had no visible engines, but their movements were precise, calculated. It was clear that the aliens had been planning this invasion for a long time. The first wave of alien ships moved deeper into the asteroid field. They didn't seem to notice the human fleet yet. The stealth technology on the Vigilant and the others kept them hidden, even from the alien ship's advanced sensors. "Ready the weapons," Captain Stroud ordered, her voice calm but firm. "This is our only shot." The human fleet moved forward, inching closer to the alien vessels. As the Vigilant and its companions slid between the asteroids, the crew knew that the aliens were unaware of their presence. But that wouldn't last much longer. "On my mark," Captain Stroud said. 3, 2, 1, now." At her command, the hidden fleet sprang into action. The silence of space was shattered as the Vigilant fired its first shot, a brilliant bolt of energy that struck the nearest alien ship. The alien vessel staggered, its shields flickering before they collapsed under the force of the attack. The alien ship's engines flared, and it spun wildly, disoriented. The human fleet wasted no time. The Vigilant's sister ships, the Reckoning and the Defender, unleashed their own barrages, targeting the alien ships with precision. Explosions rocked the asteroid field as the alien invaders fought back, their weapons firing wildly into the darkness. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Green shouted. "We've disabled one of their ships." But the aliens were quick to retaliate. Their vessels unleashed a devastating wave of fire, and the asteroid field became a deadly battlefield. The Vigilant dodged and weaved through the field, expertly maneuvering around the flying debris. But the alien ships were relentless. "Shields at 80%. Dr. Pierce called out. "We're taking heavy fire, Captain. We need to break through their defenses." Captain Stroud gritted her teeth. The battle was intense, but the human fleet was holding its ground. The alien invaders had underestimated Earth's hidden fleet, and that mistake was costing them. But the aliens weren't going to give up easily. "Keep firing," Stroud commanded. "We have to force them to retreat." As the battle raged on, the humans noticed something strange. The alien ships, though advanced, seemed to be acting in a coordinated manner, almost like a single force. It was clear that the invaders were not just a group of random ships. They were part of a larger, organized empire. The humans fought back with everything they had. The Vigilant fired shot after shot, each strike chipping away at the alien ships. Slowly, the tide began to turn in humanity's favor. "Captain," Lieutenant Green called out, his voice filled with excitement. "We've knocked out their lead ship. Their command structure is falling apart." But the victory came at a cost. The human fleet had taken damage, and the alien retaliation was growing fiercer. The remaining ships regrouped, preparing for another assault. "We got one shot at this," Captain Stroud said, her voice low but determined. "We can't let them call for reinforcements. We end this now." With the lead ship down, the alien fleet began to lose its coordination. The humans pushed forward, their ships firing relentlessly. The asteroids around them became a blur of explosions, metal, and chaos as both sides fought for survival. The battle was far from over, but humanity had made its first strike, and the aliens knew they were up against something far more dangerous than they had expected. The invasion begins. The battle had raged for hours, and the human fleet had taken its toll on the alien invaders. But Captain Emily Stroud knew this was only the beginning. The initial clash had been fierce, but the alien fleet wasn't going to give up easily. They had already begun to regroup, and the rest of the invaders were still out there, waiting to join the fight. "Captain, we've taken heavy damage to the Vigilant," Lieutenant Marcus Green reported. "We need to get repairs underway or we'll lose our advantage." "Hold on," Captain Stroud replied, her voice steady despite the pressure mounting on her. "We can't afford to stop now. We need to finish what we started." The human fleet, though battered, was still intact, and the aliens had been caught off guard. The attack on their command ship had thrown their forces into disarray, but they were quickly regaining their footing. They had underestimated humanity's hidden fleet, and now they were more determined than ever to retaliate. The alien ships were powerful, but they lacked the coordination they once had. Their weapons were firing indiscriminately, and their defenses were weakened by the surprise attack. However, the battle was far from over. In the distance, new waves of alien ships were appearing, massive, menacing vessels that had been lying in wait, hidden just beyond the horizon of the asteroid belt. "Here they come," Dr. Naomi Pierce said, her voice tight with tension as she studied the radar. "A second wave of alien ships is coming in fast. They're bringing reinforcements." Captain Stroud's jaw tightened. She had hoped they could cripple the invaders before they could call for backup, but it was clear now that the alien empire was much larger than anticipated. What they had faced so far was just the tip of the iceberg. "Get us back into the fight," Captain Stroud ordered. "We can't let them reinforce. We strike first." The human fleet maneuvered into position, avoiding the debris from the previous battle, as they positioned themselves between the approaching reinforcements and the vulnerable Earth. The asteroid field was their ally, but it also made communication and coordination more difficult. The fleet would need to rely on instinct and experience to pull through. "Brace for impact," Lieutenant Green called as the first wave of reinforcements entered range. The human fleet opened fire once more, their energy weapons lighting up the darkness of space. Explosions rang out as the alien ships tried to retaliate, but the humans were relentless. The Vigilant fired a precision shot, taking down another alien ship, and the fleet followed suit, their firepower overwhelming the invaders. "Captain, there's something strange," Dr. Pierce said suddenly, her eyes widening as she analyzed the alien forces. "These ships, they're not acting like the first wave. They're more organized. It's almost like they're adapting to our tactics." Stroud felt a chill run down her spine. The alien fleet was learning from their mistakes, and they were getting better at countering humanity's strategies. They had only moments before the aliens could adapt fully. "We need to break their formation before they can regroup," Stroud said, her voice sharp. Use the asteroid field to our advantage. Get in close. Force them into tight spaces. We don't give them a chance to counter." The human fleet broke off into smaller groups, using the asteroids as shields and weapons, darting between rocks and striking swiftly. The alien ships were big, powerful, but less agile. As the humans closed the distance, they began to score more direct hits, and the alien fleet started to falter under the pressure. "Direct hit on the lead ship," Lieutenant Green reported. "They're losing their momentum." But even as the aliens began to retreat, the situation worsened. More and more ships appeared on the horizon, larger and more intimidating than any they had faced before. The first wave might have been just a scouting force, but this was the true invasion force, an empire with an army capable of devastating whole planets. They're not just invading Earth, they're preparing to take the entire solar system, Dr. Pierce said, her voice filled with disbelief. "This isn't just a battle. This is a war." Captain Stroud stood at the helm, staring out at the overwhelming number of alien ships that continued to pour into the asteroid field. The scale of the invasion was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Yet, despite the odds, the human fleet still fought on, pushing back the alien forces one battle at a time. "Stay focused," Stroud said, her voice steady. "We've won the first fight, but we need to be ready for what's next. This is just the beginning." The human fleet, though battered and scarred, continued to press forward. The invasion had truly begun, and now it was up to humanity's secret armada to hold the line. With Earth's survival hanging in the balance, they had no choice but to fight back with everything they had. The Hidden Fleet Strikes, continuing the story. Part 5. The Hidden Fleet Strikes. The battle had reached its peak. Humanity's hidden fleet was locked in a deadly dance with the alien invaders, and the asteroid field had become a chaotic battleground. Ships from both sides were being torn apart, explosions lighting up the dark void of space. Despite their heavy losses, humanity's fleet had dealt devastating blows to the alien forces. Yet the aliens were not backing down. They were regrouping, adapting, and launching counterattacks with increasing precision. "Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Green called out, his voice filled with urgency. "We're taking heavy hits. Shields are at 50% and dropping. If we don't act now, we'll lose our edge." Captain Stroud's mind raced. The stakes had never been higher. They had successfully fought off the initial wave, but now the aliens had begun to adjust to humanity's tactics. The longer the battle continued, the more their advantage would slip away. If they didn't strike hard now, the human fleet might not survive. "Dr. Pierce, what's the status on our backup weapons?" Stroud asked, her eyes scanning the flashing red alarms around the control room. Dr. Naomi Pierce was focused on the console in front of her, her brow furrowed as she worked to access the fleet's most powerful weapon. A new energy cannon capable of disabling an entire alien ship with a single shot. It was humanity's trump card, but it could only be used once. They had to make sure it counted. "We're ready," Dr. Pierce replied, her voice low and tense. "But it requires a direct hit, and we need to get close enough to make it count." Captain Stroud nodded, her resolve hardening. The fleet could no longer afford to play it safe. It was time to take the fight to the aliens. "All ships," Stroud ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos of the battle. "We're going in close. No more holding back. We push forward, and we take them down, one by one. Now." The human fleet surged forward, weaving through the asteroids like a swarm of predators. They knew their time was running out, and this was their chance to strike a decisive blow. The alien ships, still adjusting to the humans' unpredictable tactics, struggled to respond as quickly as they had before. "Captain, the aliens are falling back," Lieutenant Green shouted. "They're trying to form a defensive perimeter around their flagship." Stroud's eyes narrowed as she studied the alien formations. The flagship was the heart of the invader fleet, and if they could take it down, the entire invasion would crumble. The aliens were trying to protect their leadership at all costs. This was their most vulnerable moment. "We have to go for it," Stroud said, her voice cold with determination. "We hit their flagship. The rest of the fleet will fall apart." The human fleet adjusted its course, now making a beeline for the alien flagship. The asteroids scattered around them provided cover, but the closer they got, the more dangerous it became. The alien ships had regrouped, and their defenses were formidable. They fired relentlessly, their weapons lighting up the blackness of space in a chaotic display. "Incoming fire," Dr. Pierce shouted as explosions shook the Vigilant. "We can't take another hit like that." "Focus fire on the flagship," Stroud ordered. "We get one shot. Make it count." The fleet's ships synchronized their movements, focusing all their firepower on the alien flagship. The Vigilant fired first, its energy cannons launching bolts of brilliant light into the heart of the flagship's shields. The alien ship staggered, its shields buckling under the force of the assault. But it wasn't enough. The flagship's defenses held strong, absorbing the hits without faltering. "We need more power," Lieutenant Green yelled. "Their shields are holding." Stroud gritted her teeth. They had only one shot left. The backup energy cannon. The cannon could pierce even the strongest shields, but it had to be perfectly aimed. This was the moment of truth. "Prepare the cannon," Stroud ordered. "Lock on to their flagship's weak point. We have one chance." The Vigilant's energy cannon powered up, its systems humming as it charged with energy. The alien flagship was now in range, and Captain Stroud could see it clearly on the view screen. A massive, imposing ship, its hull lined with energy shields and weapons. The flagship was the heart of the alien fleet, and it had to fall. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The Vigilant unleashed its weapon. The brilliant beam of light, pure energy, shot from the cannon and slammed into the alien flagship's exposed power core. The impact was deafening, and for a moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. The flagship's shields faltered, and then collapsed entirely under the force of the blast. The alien ship groaned, and then, in an explosion that shook the very fabric of space, the flagship erupted in a fiery burst of light. The shockwave from the blast rippled outward, sending alien ships spiraling into the abyss. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Green shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. "The flagship's down. They're losing control." With their command ship destroyed, the alien fleet began to disintegrate. The remaining ships, now disoriented and without leadership, scattered in all directions. The human fleet pressed the advantage, picking off straggling ships one by one. The battle wasn't over, but the tide had turned in humanity's favor. The alien invaders, once so confident in their superiority, were now on the back foot. The hidden fleet had struck the heart of the invaders, and the empire that had once seemed unstoppable was crumbling before them. "We did it," Captain Stroud whispered, her eyes on the wreckage of the alien flagship. "But this is only the beginning." Turning the tide. The explosion of the alien flagship lit up the dark void of space like a star, its shockwave rippling through the asteroid field. For a brief moment, there was silence, broken only by the hum of the human ship's engines. The destruction of the flagship had dealt a crippling blow to the alien invaders, but Captain Emily Stroud knew the battle was far from over. "That was a serious hit," Lieutenant Marcus Green said, his voice filled with awe. "But they're not done yet, Captain. Their remaining ships are regrouping." Captain Stroud nodded, her face grim. She had hoped the destruction of the flagship would lead to the alien fleet scattering in fear, but instead, the survivors were becoming more aggressive. They were trying to reorganize, their desperation clear in the way they moved. It was like a wounded animal, ready to strike back in its final moments. "Dr. Pierce, what's their status?" Stroud asked, her eyes fixed on the chaotic scene unfolding on the view screen. "Their fleet is severely damaged," Dr. Naomi Pierce replied, her fingers moving rapidly over her console. "But they're calling for reinforcements from the outer systems. If we don't act fast, we could be facing a fresh wave of ships within hours." Stroud's mind raced. The alien fleet was still strong, and their reinforcements were only a matter of time away. The human fleet had to act quickly if they wanted to stop the invasion before it grew even larger. But it wasn't just the reinforcements they needed to worry about. There was another danger, one far more insidious. "We need to find their main command center," Stroud said. "Their reinforcements may give them strength, but their leadership is the key. If we can take out their command structure, the rest of the fleet will collapse." "Understood," Dr. Pierce responded. "I've identified a small group of ships that appear to be coordinating the alien forces. They're operating from a position beyond the asteroid field, just outside the range of our scanners. We'll need to get in close to track them." "Then that's where we're headed," Stroud said, her voice firm. "We strike at their command before they can regroup." The human fleet, still battle-worn but determined, changed course and began moving toward the hidden command station. The asteroids that had once provided cover now became a perilous obstacle, the battlefield strewn with debris and shattered ships. As the fleet moved deeper into the heart of the conflict, the tension only grew. "Captain," Lieutenant Green called out, his voice anxious. "We've lost contact with the Defender. It's gone dark. We may have lost another ship." Stroud's heart sank, but she didn't let the emotion show. The losses were mounting, and every human ship that fell weakened their already strained forces. But they had no choice. The alien command center had to be taken out. There was no turning back now. "We can't afford to lose anyone else," Stroud said, determination in her eyes. "The Vigilant will lead the way. Everyone else, follow our lead. We're getting through this together." As the fleet made its way toward the alien command station, the alien ships began to close in on them, sensing the humans' intention. It was a race against time. The alien forces, now aware of the humans' goal, prepared for a final confrontation. Their ships moved into a tighter formation, blocking the path to the command center. "Hold the line," Captain Stroud ordered. "We break through their defenses now." The human fleet moved in formation, each ship firing relentlessly at the alien forces. The Vigilant led the charge, using its advanced weapons to carve a path through the alien ships. But the aliens weren't giving up without a fight. Their remaining ships launched a desperate offensive, firing energy blasts and missiles, trying to force the humans back. "We can't take much more of this," Dr. Pierce shouted over the comms. "The Vigilant is taking heavy damage. We need to find a way around their defenses, or we're done for." Stroud's mind worked quickly. They were close, so close to their goal, but the alien forces were closing in, trying to box them in from all sides. "Cut through their formation," Stroud said, her voice cold with focus. "We have one chance to break through, and we're going to take it." The human fleet, with the Vigilant leading the way, darted between the alien ships, exploiting every opening in the enemy's defenses. The fire from both sides was deafening as energy beams and missile trails lit up the darkness of space. Then, just as it seemed the alien fleet was going to overwhelm them, a breakthrough occurred. A single alien ship, positioned at the rear of the formation, opened fire with a massive energy cannon, aiming directly at the Vigilant. "Braced for impact," Lieutenant Green shouted, his voice filled with panic. Stroud's heart raced, but she refused to back down. "We'll dodge it. All power to the engines." Now, the Vigilant swerved, narrowly avoiding the blast that would have destroyed them. The alien ship, unable to adjust in time, fired another blast, but this time it missed its target. The human fleet took advantage of the opening, firing back at the alien ship. In seconds, it was destroyed, and the path to the alien command center was clear. "Now full speed ahead," Captain Stroud commanded, her voice filled with resolve. "We finish this." The fleet surged forward, charging toward the heart of the alien command center, their weapons blazing with unstoppable fury. The final stage of the battle had begun. The command center was within reach, and if humanity could take it out, the invasion would end. Final showdown and victory. The human fleet surged forward, their ships battered but unbroken as they approached the heart of the alien command center. The debris from the previous battles scattered in every direction, like a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered ships. The alien fleet was on its last legs, desperate to hold their ground, but the momentum was now with humanity. The battle was almost over, one way or another. "We're almost there, Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Green reported, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Their defenses are weakening. We can make it." Captain Emily Stroud's eyes were fixed on the view screen, where the alien command center loomed ahead. A massive fortress-like structure surrounded by the last remnants of the alien fleet. Its shields flickered, clearly struggling to hold against the relentless assault. The alien ships, though desperate, had formed a defensive perimeter, trying to keep the humans from reaching their last stronghold. "We need to take them down fast," Stroud said. "We break through their formation, and we hit that command center directly." No hesitation. The human fleet, already exhausted from the prolonged battle, didn't falter. The Vigilant, along with its companions, cut through the remaining alien forces, their weapons lighting up the darkness. Every shot seemed to count, each one taking down another alien ship, weakening their defenses. "Incoming fire," Dr. Naomi Pierce shouted. "They're launching everything they've got." The alien fleet, cornered and desperate, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts and missiles. The Vigilant's shields flared as the ship absorbed the hits, but the hull was beginning to show signs of damage. Stroud's hands gripped the controls tightly, but her resolve remained unshaken. She couldn't afford to lose now, not when victory was within their grasp. "Hold steady," Stroud commanded. "We're pushing through." The human ships, under intense fire, continued their advance, using the remaining asteroids as cover whenever possible. The alien fleet's defensive perimeter began to crack, and finally, with one final decisive push, the Vigilant and its sister ships broke through the alien ranks. "Now fire everything we've got," Stroud shouted, her voice firm and commanding. The fleet's combined firepower unleashed a torrent of energy beams, missiles, and cannons aimed directly at the alien command center. The center's shields began to collapse under the relentless assault, flickering and sputtering as the final blows were dealt. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Green shouted, his voice filled with triumph. "The command center's shields are down." Captain Stroud's heart pounded in her chest. They were so close. With a final burst of concentrated fire, the Vigilant fired its last round from its main cannon, sending a massive beam of energy crashing into the core of the alien command center. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. And then, in a cataclysmic explosion that shook the very fabric of space, the alien command center erupted. A wave of energy rippled outward, followed by the unmistakable sight of the alien fleet crumbling. "Victory," Stroud whispered, her voice filled with awe and relief. The alien fleet, disoriented and without leadership, began to break apart. The ships scattered in all directions, unable to regroup or launch any further attacks. The remaining alien ships, now leaderless and crippled, were easy targets for the human fleet. One by one, the alien invaders were destroyed or forced to retreat. The battle was over. The invasion had been stopped. Captain Stroud looked at her crew, the exhaustion on their faces mirroring her own. They had done the impossible. Against all odds, humanity's hidden fleet had fought back the alien empire, proving that even in the face of overwhelming forces, the human spirit could not be broken. "All ships, return to Earth," Stroud said, her voice steady as she gazed at the wreckage of the alien fleet. "The war is over. Earth is safe." The human fleet began its slow journey back to Earth, leaving behind the wreckage of the alien invasion. But even as the fleet cruised home, Stroud knew the battle had left its scars. Many lives had been lost, and the cost of victory had been steep. But humanity had survived. The alien empire had underestimated humanity. They had thought their invasion would be unstoppable. But in the end, it was humanity's resilience, determination, and strength that had triumphed. As Earth slowly came into view, the crew of the Vigilant stood in silence, knowing that they had faced the darkest of times and emerged victorious. Humanity's secret armada had proven that even the most powerful of invaders could be defeated, and that, no matter the odds, humanity would never surrender.